Welcome to the Carriage Commercial Systems video tutorials for VAST Online. In this video, we're gonna learn how to set up the EPX credit card terminal reader. The process of setting up a card reader consists in getting the IP address from the card terminal, connecting to the router to configure the network, and configure VAST Online. It is important to know that before you can complete any setup, you will need to connect the card reader to the network via Ethernet, and ideally, all the systems in the shop will be on one network. Getting the IP address from the card terminal. This part of the process needs to be done directly on the physical Ingenico terminal. Press on the F button. If F is not present, press the plus key. You're gonna select Teleo Manager, then press Enter. Select Consultation. Look for Configuration and press Enter. Select Hardware, then Hardware Info. Select Ethernet, then press Enter. Document the IP address labeled IPADDR. Repeat this process for each card reader the shop has. Connect to router. In order to port forward the reader, first you need to get access to your shop's router. Click on the Windows menu from the computer toolbar. Search for the letters CMD and click on the command prompt icon. The Select Command Prompt window will appear. Enter the command ipconfig and then press the Enter button. The window will show many data. Find the default gateway and copy the IP address. Open the internet browser and enter the default gateway IP address, then press the Enter button. Enter the username and password to log into your router. If your shop has a third-party IT, they will generally know this information. If not, you can Google this, router model or manufacturer, plus the default admin password. Configuring the network. Now that you have collected the IP address for the card readers and logged into the router, you can look to set up the port forwarding and static address for these readers. It is important to realize that each router may have different steps and naming schemes for getting the port forwarding and static address reservation settings. If having trouble finding them, please refer to the device guide. Once you log into the router, find the port forwarding section and click on it. Usually, you can find this section under Advanced Settings or Firewall Settings. On the external port, you would use port 6300 for Terminal 1. If you have multiple terminals, you will follow the consecutive numbers for each terminal. Port 6301 for Terminal 2, 6302 for Terminal 3, etc. On the internal port, type in the port 6300. You will always use the port 6300 on the internal port despite the number of terminals your shop has. For the method, all port forwards should use both the TCP and the UDP. This can be noted as protocol or type line entry. On the forward to IP address, type in each of the terminals' IP address that we collect from the Ingenico's terminals. Remember that each terminal has its own IP address. Once all the terminals have been set up, save the changes. Configuring VAST Online. Now that the network has been set up, the last step is to link all the information into VAST Online. To perform this, you will need to capture the shop's external IP address. Open the internet browser and go to the webpage ipchicken.com. Take note of the IP address in blue. Open VAST Online and click on the Maintenance menu from the vertical toolbar. Click on the Stores tab under the Stores heading. Select the store you need to set up the card device and click on the pencil icon. From the Edit Store window, select the Card Devices tab, then click on the Add button. The Add Card Device pop-up will appear. On the device name field, type in Device 1. On the URL field, you're gonna type in the following: https:// and then introduce the external IP address from the ipchicken browser. Then type in : and introduce the terminal port, which in this case is 6300. Then click on the Save button. In case of multiple card devices, Repeat the process for each reader. Remember that the port will increase sequentially for each device. Device 2, port 6301, device 3, port 6302, etc. In order to the changes be made in the system, you may need to log out and log back into the VAST Online system. After doing this, try to invoice out a work order. Select a card method payment type as well as a card terminal if have more than one. If the reader lights up and asks for a confirmation on the amount, you have set up the terminal properly. If you require further assistance setting up the card reader terminals, contact the VAST Online support team. Thanks for watching.